Hello everyone, it's BellaBri112, and today I have more of a experimental model horse video because you gotta experiment for the sake of science with model horses. So I'm gonna test out, is Vaseline a good source to kind of temporarily gloss model horses. So I have these two stablemates, and I'm choosing stablemates because they're small, they're easier to clean, and for these two in particular, I don't mind if they get a little dirty. So starting off with that, I recommend getting some stablemates, but unless you have some sort of model that you don't mind getting dirty, then I'd use that model. So I'm going to use some Vaseline, and I'm choosing Vaseline because it's a very oily kind of product where it's very shiny, so I figured that'd be a good choice. Plus, in the video that I watched this from, the person said Vaseline would also work, so I'm going to do that. And for some quick backstory, I watched a video that came out quite some years ago, but this person was using some sort of ointment to gloss their models for shows, and they said that you could also use Vaseline, so that's why I'm using Vaseline. But I also just want to see, is this really effective? Because back in the day, way when, like 7-10 years ago, people weren't focused on the visual quality of video, so it's hard to see in the video that I watched if it actually had a really good effect to the model horses. So that's kind of how this video kind of came into play. I just want to test it, see if it works, and then give my feedback to you guys so you guys can do what you want with this information. Besides the Vaseline that you'll be using, you'll want to use some sort of cloth to rub the Vaseline onto your model with. I'm using a microfiber cloth towel, and I recommend these because they are very soft, and they're a lot of times these are used for cars, whether you're like washing or waxing cars, and they're specifically designed so you don't chip or scratch the paint of a car. And I figure, why not apply that to model horses, because I mean, it's like the same thing. Paint is delicate on models too. So I am simply using a microcloth towel, oh my goodness, towel, and yeah, but I'm sure any other soft sort of cloth would also work as well. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's start getting this Vaseline on these ponies. So I'm popping open my Vaseline, and I'm going to start with the little blue roan stablemate pony, that little guy, and I feel like this is almost obvious, but I feel like if this is going to work, it's going to work better on the blue roan than the little gorilla guy in the background, just because I feel like with black models, they show their shine so much more than other models. So I'm just going to show you, get me some Vaseline on my cloth, and I don't really know how much to use, to be honest. I'm assuming don't use a ton, but too little may make the project look kind of eh. So that's how much I took, and it's kind of hard to see on the rag. I'm sorry about that. I think the lighting did that. Oh, no, you can kind of see it. Okay, but I'm going to just kind of rub it on the pony, and I think I'm going to start with the back. Yeah, I'm going to start with the back of the pony, and then work my way on the sides. It looks kind of, not necessarily gross, it looks very messy. That looks messy, and it's just, again, Vaseline's a very sticky sort of like ointment, and the more I rubbed the pony, I realized that I need to take a dry part of the cloth, otherwise a part of the cloth that doesn't have the Vaseline on it, and then rub in the current Vaseline that's on the pony with the dry part of the rag. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's just because there was just so much Vaseline that it wasn't really rubbing into the model, it was just kind of putting more on the horse rather than working it into the horse. So here you see me, I'm rubbing it in, and the pony is starting to look very, very shiny. Like, look at that hindquarters, look at that butt. It's so, this model honestly became very shiny, and I was really surprised by the results, partially because Vaseline is a ointment used for skin, our skin is meant to, what's the word, like take in, I can't think of the word. You probably know the word I'm thinking of, but like absorb. There we go. That's the word. Our skin absorbs this kind of ointment, and to put it on plastic, I mean, assuming the plastic is somewhat porous, and that just means that it'll absorb some sort of, stuff. But yeah, I wasn't sure how the Vaseline was gonna work. But and honestly, it looked pretty good on this little blue roan pony. Very, very shiny afterwards. Very pretty, and I guess this does kind of work. Although I think this is going to work better on a dark model rather than a lighter colored model, but I'm still going to show you guys what it looks like on the little Appaloosa gorilla in the background who I haven't touched yet. So this is kind of my little pony, and he is pretty shiny. It's not really like in your face too. It's not like a glossy model, but yeah, he looks pretty good. And like I didn't even dust or wash him before, and so he looks pretty nice. So now it's round 2 with our lovely little Appaloosa gorilla guy that we got going on here. So same procedure. I'm gonna get the Vaseline, put some Vaseline on my little micro cloth towel. There we go. That's like a mouthful to say. So we're gonna put it on, and I always start with the back of the model because I feel like if that's where the most is gonna go, then you just kind of take some from the back and then bring it to the sides of the model. So again, it's kind of hard to see too because he's white there. So I recommend if you're gonna do this on a dark colored model rather than a light colored model. But as you can see, I started to rub it in, and sorry if it's kind of awkward to like see this. I had to work around the camera and like try to be in frame, and meanwhile like see what I'm actually doing. It was kind of difficult, so I'm sorry if, you know, when I'm working the Vaseline into them off, it's like kind of hard to see. Sorry about that. So I rubbed it in, and there's some subtle shine, but it's not very prominent. The model doesn't look like a matte dull horse anymore though, I will admit. Towards that back leg and more of the belly, the horse does look shiny. I'll admit that. I think it works for both models, just it's more prominent, a more noticeable shine on the dark colored models. So I would say do this on a dark colored horse if you're gonna do this sort of thing. So this is what our little blue and pony looked like after he sat for a couple minutes. The Vaseline was still very shiny, but I did this on a cloudy day, so I didn't have a lot of light shining on him. And then again for the lighter colored horse, there's some shine, but it's not as prominent as a dark colored horse. So as I've been saying, do this on a dark colored horse if you're gonna do this. I do think this definitely cleaned up the models. They weren't really dusty, but I mean with this, they look like dust free, perfect. They're very kind of shiny, but with this project idea, there's always the you know, the cons of it, because sure, the pros, they're shiny, they're clean looking, but there's always the cons. So I made a little list of 3 things that I, at the beginning of this project, kind of had in mind, which was oily, shiny, and fingerprints. And after kind of, you know, looking into this and, you know, doing this project, they were oily. To the touch, they felt oily. Even after I washed my hands to make sure my hands were clean from the, you know, oil, it was oily. The models did come out very shiny, I will say. I was very impressed. I didn't think this was going to work. I just thought I was going to be globbing on some Vaseline, but yeah. And then fingerprints. Your fingerprints do show, and that ties into the models being oily. If you're going to do this, be very careful. And I try to purposely put fingerprints on the models. And if you can see in the red circle in the shine spot, you see some kind of like lines or ridges. That's my fingerprint. This guy's the most prominent on his cheek. Top picture, you can kind of see the lines, and then in the bottom picture, again in that red circle in the cheek, I smoothed it out. So overall view of this project, if you're gonna do this, do it on a dark colored model because you're gonna get way better results, but you have to watch out for oil and fingerprints, so wear some sort of gloves or handle these models with caution if you're going to be doing this, especially like for shows or whatnot. So that is going to wrap up today's video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!